Thank you, Mr. Deskehil, for setting the tone of the summit. Ladies and gentlemen, you can drop your questions in the chat box. Our speakers will answer your questions towards the end of the session. Now, let's start our next session. You can only manage what you can measure. Manufacturing businesses are increasingly focusing on measuring their CX performances to understand where their customer engagement stands. But are they measuring the right metrics or indicators? The stepping stone to effective customer engagement is identifying the right CX metrics and making the best use of customer data. In this masterclass, Mr. Madhukar Unyal, Director Solution Engineering Oracle, will talk about how to choose and implement the right CX metrics for your business. Over to you, Mr. Unyal.
Thank you. Thank you, Annie. And good morning, everyone. Wish you a very happy Friday. And I hope you all, you and your loved ones and everyone is safe and healthy. And yeah, today's, let me just share my screen. All right. The one of the important thing that we always ask, I hope you can hear me okay. And I hope you can see my screen. And thanks for the introduction, Annie. Myself, Madhukar, I lead the solution engineering team for the country for the CX practice. And me and my colleagues, me and my teammates, basically work with professionals like you, marketers like you, CX professionals like you on a daily basis, trying to see what your priorities are, what the vision is for the CX professionals, and what how can Oracle technology help meet those goals and objectives. So interesting topic today. Choose how to choose and implement the right CX metrics for your business. I've put together a flow, to this and a structure to this masterclass, this session. First, I'll talk about what is CX. Not all of us know CX, right? The fact that we are here together is because there's something, some way or the other, we are linked to customer experience. But what I'll talk about is the research that we did, the surveys that we did, and what interesting things we found out from these surveys, Oracle, and what our customers are telling us from the CX perspective, right? Then we'll talk about the key topic, the agenda of this masterclass, the metrics to measure customer experience, both from the brain, the hard numbers, when we look at customer experience, and also from the not, the more soft aspect of CX, because customer experience is not just about numbers, it's about feeling, it's about a relationship. And then learnings and suggestions, right? So these are learnings which actually me and my team and all of us at Oracle CX Group have captured and gathered from experts like you when we work with companies and brands like you, in the BFSI, in the automotive sector, in manufacturing, and in the education vertical. We've gathered a lot of input, so we'll just share some learnings and suggestions with you. So the first thing first, right? We are all in the experience economy. Without talking much about what this experience economy really means for us, the three key tenets, when we talk to marketers and when we talk to our customers, when we survey them, when we try and got some inputs, experience has become more important than the product itself. Now, product is the bedrock, right? You got to have a great product, you got to have a great service, you got to have a great institution. That's the bedrock, that's the fundamental. But in today's day and age, there's not much difference that you can really make out from one product to another, but experience is what is becoming more important than the product itself. The consumers and how they engage is very unpredictable, right? We've seen conversion happening in literally 5 clicks, and it could take months and months for somebody to, let's say, decide on a home loan, or let's say insurance policy and so on. And what we're also seeing is that customers are innovator. As companies, they are coming to us and telling us, these are the things you should have in your product. These are probably the things which are missing. These are the things that we recommend you should have in your service, or we are facing challenges here. So customers are the innovators. They're at the forefront. What we did at Oracle is we basically went back to our customers across the age groups on what are their suggestions, from a CX perspective. How are they looking at this whole experience economy? What does experience really means to them? So we reached out to the baby boomers, the Gen Z, Gen X, and millennials to find out what are the signals that they would like to give to brands and companies like us. And they said, they were some interesting facts. Now, not a rocket science. We all in CX business know how important this whole dimension is. But they said 41% of the consumers are willing to pay a premium, willing to pay 20% more uh, for impressive customer experience. And especially if you see the Gen Z and millennials who are going to be the next big consumers, who were born with a mobile in hand, are the ones who basically are just giving experience, an impressive experience, more points than anything else. Um, 58% of Gen Zers and millennials also said that they're more likely to buy from a company that offers novel experiences. And there's a whole bunch of research. I would encourage you to go to oracle.com/go/CX research to find out more insight in what were the some of the key highlights, right, of these research and what the consumers and customers are telling you. 1 out of 3 customers who were surveyed said that they will walk out from a brand forever if they have one bad experience. Right? Some interesting facts from this survey, and I'll share a link with you, and I'll show you where to go and find out all these amazing surveys and research and some polls and opinions across the globe, and not just one geography. And what we at Oracle, what we have understood and what we are trying to decipher from the signals and what our customers are telling us, what our customers are telling us, is that in this experience economy, the 3 key things that we as brands, as CX professionals, and as companies need to solve is first, marketing. It should not be a batch and blast, buy one get one free. It has to be more of a negotiated conversation. It has to be a silent marketing weaved into the experience. On the service side, before the service becomes a frustration, it should be predictive. What the companies are telling us is they want to have a service where customers don't have to call, agents don't have to ask, how can I help you today? They should already know what the problem is. And on the sales side of things, what we're hearing is that customers want the choice. They want the freedom to buy. They want to choose the channel they want to buy. They don't necessarily want to talk to a live sales representative, a human. They may be okay to just go and take a decision just over digital channels. So they want freedom to buy when they want to buy and how they want to buy. And all this is possible by providing a real-time element to this whole customer experience and the CX economy for business success, which means detecting these customer signals, doing personalization, and shortening the reaction time. This is something which is a takeaway for us as Oracle, and I think for all of us as CX professionals. Now, there is a lot of interesting research which is done, and a lot of interesting things which are published. I would, again, encourage you, if you have some time, whenever you have some free time, just go to this URL called smartercx.com, a very nice portal. Let me just click on this and showcase you what it is. Yeah, this is the Smarter CX. I would encourage you to go here. Some really good insights, some research, some nice reports, some voice of customer surveys, and it also talks about the CX events that Oracle is conducting over across the globe, all the virtual events. So if you would like to participate, again, it's smartercx.com. And again, I encourage you to go and have a look at some of the nice content and nice service and reports and things that me and my team have put together. Some smart brains at Oracle, like me, have put together this amazing piece of content in this portal. Now, coming to the topic of discussion today and this masterclass, metrics to measure CX, and you will see a little brain that I've put in there, because first I want to talk the hard numbers. How do we as companies, as brands, measure CX? How some of us are already doing it? How some of us, if you're not, how can we start measuring the customer experience in a hard way, like with a number, right? So first is customer satisfaction score, right? We are all familiar with it. At the end of every interaction, right? When we complete a call, the contact center representative, or when we are on a mobile app doing some navigation, we often get that, can you rate us? How would you rate us for this interaction? That's a pretty straightforward. At interaction level, you can start measuring, CSAT score. The next is the NPS. Again, something we are all very familiar with. what it gauges is the likelihood of someone to recommend your products and services or refer to someone. Uh, Product and services to a friend and colleague. How likely are you to do that? So these are some straightforward ways to measure customer experience. The third is a little more, you can say, a little more complex than a basic CSAT and an NPS, which is the customer effort score. And it gauges how easy or how difficult it is for the customer to do business with you. And it looks at various dimensions, right? Right from, let's say, audit of the web portal and your digital properties, and looking at the page load time and the drop-off time, all the way to conversion. CES is not as straight as a CSAT or NPS, but regardless, it gives you very good insight into you're measuring your customer experience. Then there's something called a net value scores. My apologies about a lot of you know acronyms here, but NVS is net value score, and that's how they are. When you do some research around these, how to measure the customer experience, you'll come across these different nomenclature. So net value score basically looks at your products and services and then compares it with the suppliers who are maybe in a competitive scenario with you. So it looks at the value score. What is the value compared to the other suppliers? It's again not as straightforward as filling up a form or CSAT or NPS, but it looks at some various dimensions. There are more metrics to measure CX, right? Not just the CSAT and the NPS and net value score, but loyalty. Now, if you are in a business where you maintain loyalty, which we know, are banking and especially in the banking or travel and hospitality and so on, we have loyalty, which is very important signal to measure customer experience. If how's my customer base moving from one tier to another? How are they transacting? Their loyalty points and so on and so forth. That's a good way of measuring CX. Another one is refer. People who actually spread the word. Now, the bank and one of my credit card companies, the credit card that I use most of the time, and also the hotel that I have been a part of, a loyalty for a long time. Not really during the COVID times. They have a very good referral program, and I've kind of done quite a few referrals. So that's a good indication that I love your service and I would like others to join your service. Another measure or another metric to measure CX is the churn rate itself. On the flip side, right? What is the churn? Am I seeing a drop in the usage, the customer attrition? What have they stopped using my products and services? Could be another metric to measure customer experience. And again, of course, I think this is the most important repeat business. The customers who come back, they purchase more and more often. The recency and frequency, those dimensions give you a very good indication to measure your customer experience. So we can actually put all these together. We can put the customer satisfaction, the CES score, the NPS, all of these different signals that we capture, maybe by the means of filling up a form or giving the feedback to the agent, so on and so forth. We can combine all of this together and have a enterprise-wide CX score metric, which is a combination of various different sub-metric to say we have a good CX score or a bad CX score. But that's one way of looking at it. Again, I'll refer you back to the site, which is smartercx.com. What we have done is basically we have put in a small survey or just a small assessment of sort, which takes less than a minute if you go to this portal, which talks about how to, your CX stacks up. You can go ahead and you can literally select your role and you can just select your company size. And what it does is basically it takes you to just some simple, assessment and some simple question where you can just literally say, all right, I have this single data view. I use the data. This is my content strategy, my buying journey, my analytics, and so on. I'll not do that on this, in this masterclass session. But once you click on submit, it gives you a score and it ranks you against the companies of similar size and of a similar solution and product and services, and then it gives you a score of where does your CX rank. So I encourage you to go to this portal again, smartercx.com. Some really nice content that me and my colleagues have put together. Now, coming to the other part of uh, metrics to measure CX is we can't really measure it. And I was in one of the panel discussions. We have some great panel discussions lined up today. I'm looking forward to them. And they are such an amazing source of knowledge, right? Because it's a free-flowing chit-chat and a discussion going on between some experts. So in one of the fireside chat and one of the discussion that I was, participant to, I was listening to, one of the experts said that you can't measure CX. It's like love. You can't say I love you 5 kilos or I love you 10 liters or I love you 7 out of 10 or I love you 80%. CX is love. You can't measure it. It's a sum total of everything that an enterprise does and a business does. Right from the time when we develop the product all the way to when we ship it and all the way to the service and so on and so forth. It's just love. It's unconditional. It's not a blind love though. It's data driven love. So and again in that panel discussion, what came out was there is a relationship of love, but in this relationship of love from a CX perspective, customers want to be treated uniquely. They want to be treated in real time. Now, it's a very important dimension of what customers want in this love, in this relationship. And they also want where and when they are ready, right? So they are in a position to command, or maybe in this equation of love, in this relationship of love, this is what customers want the companies to do. So in a way, love really comes down to be personalized right from the beginning when somebody comes to a digital property or somebody searches for the product and services that we offer. And right from the time when they do a first handshake with a brand, all the way to when they become a customers and when we start serving them, love really is about how personalized can we be? How can we use the data that we have at hand? So again, some of the research that I was reading, and I'll share these with you from McKinsey. They talk about the opportunity of personalization, or rather, we should call it love at scale, can lift revenues. So they'll put a number actually. I mean, you can't really say that love means this much for me, but eventually they were able to put some numbers on personalization and what it really means for businesses and enterprises. So it can lift revenues, it can increase the efficiency, and it can reduce costs substantially. What they've also done is they've put in like this the blueprint of personalization, or blueprint of this love dimension at scale. So it starts with data, and this is what Tess Cahill mentioned in the first session, that how AT&T is able to use all that data, bring all the data from all the different sources, whether it's back office, whether it's front office, whether it's a digital signal or whether it's a service issue, everything together in one place to create a 360-degree customer view, golden record to ID resolution. That's the fundamental, the first D of these 4-dimension, personalization at scale blueprint. Then second is decisioning. Now it's humanly impossible to look at this terabytes and tons of data and come to a conclusion on how to serve a customer. So advanced analytics, machine learning, they will help you create these customer scores. They will help you do the next best offer, next best recommendation. They will guide you which customer to offer what, when, what time. And then the third dimension is the design factory. So, do experimentation with your content. There should be a place where you're designing all these content and also seeing whether the content is being, is the right positioning of your solution services, so on and so forth, and do the experimentation, do the testing. And finally, the distribution channels, whether it's paid media, owned media, and earned, whether it's email all the way to call center, or whichever channel you have, the distribution and how that distribution goes on. So if I again click on this link, and we will share all of these details with you. But if you look at this research from McKinsey, it talks some really good things. They beautifully put in some numbers to personalization. What does personalization means in trillions of dollars? How can companies go and start using this 4D formula for this love at scale or personalization at scale? And what are the key elements of doing the personalization at scale? So yeah, that was some really good insight that I was able to gather from this blueprint from McKinsey. Now, one other thing is also from CX perspective. Again, when we say how do we measure CX, it all starts from how we look at ourselves as a company. So if you go to a hardware vendor and ask what do you do, and they tell you we sell hardware, the CX is not really going to be great. It comes right from the top. But when you go to a company and say, what do you do? We help build and improve people's home is where it all starts from. So, and that came from, again, working with CX professionals and marketers and service professionals like you at Oracle, that we've learned CX is not a bottom-up game. It's not you find a bunch of technology, put it together, and we have great customer experience. It comes right from the top, right from the mission of the company, and then it just drills on. So we also talk about, when we talk the love dimension of customer experience, it also starts right from the first sight. When somebody is discovering your products and services, right? If I'm there to, let's say, buy a holiday package, or if I'm there to buy a new car, my love starts right from the first sight when I look at that amazing piece of content, and it gives me everything that I'm looking at, all the way to when I purchase that automobile and then I start using it. The journey starts right from the top. What we really look at from when we say measured customer experience, we basically look at the serve dimension, which is once they become the customer, we send them a CSAT survey report, or we send them a NPS link and so on. But we should start this right from the beginning, because customer signals are everywhere. Right from the time when they start looking for a product and services, they start searching for them, all the way to when they first time come to our digital property and do a handshake with us, or first time when a sales representative meets them. It starts right from there, and there are lots and lots of signals that they are leaving behind for us as the company, as CX professionals to catch. So it's all about how much do we know about our customers, right? Some enterprises only work with 5 or plus attributes. So the CX game is very different when you have very less attributes about your customer, right? Somebody's filling up a lead form. And if that's the only thing if somebody has filled up a lead form, that's the only thing you can only do so much, right? But if you really know, before filling up the lead form, this person was actually looking at these products and services, spent 5 minutes doing this, and now they've filled up a lead form. The sales representative who will call them or will talk to them will have much more information about them. So yeah, it's all about what are these signals that we're capturing. So right from anonymous, right from the prospect all the way to customers into advocate, we have to have the ability to capture all of these signals. And that's what, and these signals could be, spread across demographic data, transactional data, behavioral data, CSAT, customer survey data, NPS data, all of that has to come together. And what we've done at Oracle is, as part of our customer intelligence platform, and this is the learning that we took from professionals like you, and when we speak to marketers and CX professionals and service professionals and all the our esteemed customers, we took all that learning, went back to our labs, and that's what Descale was mentioning in his first keynote this morning. We went back to our labs and designed the CIP, the Customer Intelligence Platform, and how the 5 key aspects of this platform should actually work in symphony-like or orchestra. So first is ability to ingest all of this data in one place, whether it's in a crude way, the cookie data, the visitor data, the commerce data, the service tickets, the NPS score, the point of sale, back office data, all that data which is coming from different sources, we need to bring it together, unify, do the ID resolution so that we have a single record of a customer across the enterprise, and then enrich that data. So also find out more things about our customers. What are they doing? What are they buying? Where are they going? What are their interests? What are they in market for, and so on. And then try and segment this into different sections and different chunks, and how do we strategize to position the right solution, right content, right messaging to these customers, and then finally analyze and engage with them across the downstream channel, which could be your service agent, it could be your commerce application, it could be your sales, it could be a chatbot, email, or whichever channel of choice we want. And in fact, on the channel itself, the systems and the platforms guide you on what should be the right channel, right message, right customer, right time. Who are the customer you should not communicate right now, or maybe there's a service ticket open. All of those things are possible with the CIP platform, the customer intelligence platform. And this is something massive learning for us, which came from experts like you and professionals like you. So yeah, I'm just at the end of just about 25 minutes, and where I will leave this session is measuring CX. We can look at the hard dimensions and we can look at soft dimensions, but ultimately it is important. The customer experience priorities are responding, and we are seeing some staggering numbers, especially during the pandemic. We saw how some of the enterprises which were ready for CX were in a better position to come out strongly during the pandemic and after the pandemic. So that's it from my side. Thank you.